all from Horace, but Horace was a good source for Sam Smith, the Chicago Tribune. And yet I believe a lot of the Jordan rules came from Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause, and also from Phil Jackson and the assistant coaches, who also would talk to Sam occasionally, quote unquote, sort of off the record, you know, just in passing. Sam obviously covered the team, traveled with the team, lived with the team. So it wasn't just from Horace, but I think a lot of the locker room stuff came from Horace.
But didn't Sam Smith follow Jordan sometime to the golf course? Wouldn't he walk when Jordan was on the golf course at times during the season when they would go and Sam Smith would go? At one point in time, didn't they have a decent relationship with each other before this book came out?
Sam Smith and Michael?
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure. I wasn't there yet in Chicago. I worked with Sam briefly in my time in Chicago, but I'm not sure. We shared the same literary agent, but I'm not sure of that deep background on that one. I just know that Michael was not happy with the book. Michael would not talk to Sam for at least a while right after the book came out, after the first championship season. You know, it came out in, I believe, '92. So the point was, Michael, what was his quote? He said, I'm going to laugh about it and I'm going to move on, was his quote. Like it was all just, to him, fiction. Well, it wasn't fiction. Michael was protective of his image and obviously his sneaker-selling image. But I think the book was spot on, dead on, bullseye. And now we're getting to see that Jordan in the documentary that Jordan has signed off on, which is why Jordan said right before it started airing, I'm afraid I'm going to come across as a horrible person. Well, I think to a lot of people he does. But again, we're getting to see how you go 6-0 in finals with 6 finals MVPs. And Shannon, it's the flip side of Tom Brady's leadership. I always laud his leadership. Tom Brady leads with love, if you will. Now he will shred you verbally in practice or games, but he's not going to fight you. And let's do LeBron. LeBron is a lover, not a fighter. So all of his leadership is what they call passive aggressive. He'll be critical maybe through social media, but he's not going to fight anybody. He's not going to fight a teammate. And we're going to talk later about the fist fights, the punches thrown in practice at Steve Kerr and Will Perdue. But this guy is the flip side of Brady and LeBron. They lead with love. And Jordan led with fear. He wanted to strike fear in everybody. And all those players who didn't love Jordan in practice loved having him on their side in games because they knew he was the baddest man on the planet.
Skip, I believe the way I look at it, Skip, that I believe you can motivate a person without being disrespectful. And I didn't have a problem. Dan Reeves was probably Mike was the toughest on me, but the one thing that I wouldn't tolerate, and that, you know, he and I had a conversation. I said, Mike, I don't have a problem with you, coaching me, but I won't let you disrespect me now. I said, now, some of the things that you think you might be able to say to other guys, if my granny wouldn't say it to me, I won't let you say it to me. So coach me, but don't be disrespectful. And that's the problem that I have. I think Mike, be a leader, but I won't let you be disrespectful. But Skip, I think that comes from the mentality of different locker rooms. Under no circumstance, there is not one guy, be it the best guy, be it the quarterback, be it a defensive lineman, where someone will let you openly and blatantly disrespect. Because I've been in locker rooms when the best player and a guy that you wouldn't think have thrown down because the guy that wasn't the top guy felt he was being disrespected. And that was the difference. Horace knows I lump Michael up. I'm up out of here. It's a one-way ticket. But let me ask you a question, Skip. Charles Oakley has a bad game. He's not playing well. You think Mike is going to tell the flight attendant, hey, don't feed Oak? If you're a leader, you lead.
Talking about Charles Oakley?
Charles Oakley,
no.
yeah.
That was the one guy physically that Michael respected. And yet,
Yes.
you saw what happened. Oak was gone. The only reason that Horace Grant got to be a starter was because Jerry Krause shipped out Charles Oakley in favor of Cartwright. Remember that? And
right.
so because the explanation was we're not tall enough. You know, we need a center. We need Bill Cartwright, a 7-footer.
Right.
And Oakley obviously went to the Knicks and became an opponent and a rival of Michael's. But no, Michael, respect him. He was an elder statesman. He had been there before. And I don't know, Charles Oakley was known as what? What's that?
The toughest. See, Jordan, I think, Skip, if I'm not mistaken, Jordan got there in 84. So I think Oak got there in like 85 or 86. If I'm not mistaken, because like you said, Pippen and Horace Grant, came in 87. And so I think I think Oak came in 85, Skip, or 86, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. All right.
Skip, remember, Oak was out of Norfolk State, HBCU. So for him, and I think, for him to be able to parlay that, and I think Oak played like 18 years, Oak was as tough as they come. You didn't try Oak.
Wow.
And that was a different era back then.
Okay. Again, Charles Oakley was regarded as the toughest guy in the league. So would Michael pick on him? Would he try to motivate and light his fire by challenging Oak's manhood? He would not. But again, it's like Jimmy Johnson always taught me when I covered Jimmy Johnson's football teams. You motivate different players different ways, different sets of rules for different players. And Michael smelled a little bit of weakness in Ho Grant, where he's saying, I got to keep lighting his fire for him because he doesn't light his own fire enough. The talent's there. The drive is not there. The focus is not always there. So he pushed him to toughen him up. Oak didn't need to be toughened up. He was already the toughest guy in the league when Michael met him. So, okay, I got it.
Skip, what people don't realize, Horace Grant was a 4-time all defensive player, all defensive
and he
team.
was.
He made the second team.
Yeah.
So he was very tough. But the one thing he wanted me is he's like, Sharp, you know, growing up how we grew up, eating raccoon, eating possum. And I was like, I know. I say, for me, Horace, I don't need nobody to toughen me up. My upbringing toughened me up. Let's go play basketball. Pass me the ball. I'll show you in practice. John, don't try to toughen me up. Let me show you can trust me by throwing me the ball. Ask me a question against this blitz, against this front. What coverage are they going to run? And I'll get it right for you. But if you think fighting, I said the only thing fighting is going to prove, I can kick your ass. That's the only thing fighting is going to prove. It ain't going to prove I'm ready to play. Trust me. And so, like I said, Skip, I told you yesterday, and you know some of the things that I've said. I'm like, Skip, I don't feel comfortable saying that on air. That needs to come from Horace's mouth. And I said the first chance that we get and we can open up that lot, Grant, you need to come on our show and you need to tell your side of the story. I said, because I can't do it justice like you can.
Yeah, I'm happy he called you. Yeah, go ahead.
We appreciate that Horace reached out, and like you said, Shannon, I hope we do have the opportunity to bring him into the studio when all this is said and done, because good insight for both Skip and Shannon to hear from him directly. We appreciate it. All right, Skip, time is now. The Cowboys' schedule has been released. We break it down next.